The Stalinist Golgotha, a Bordage sermon on the false messiah of planned production. So, you think Stalin solved the economic problems of the USSR? Well, let me tell you something. What we're dealing with here isn't just bad policy. It's a metaphysical catastrophe, a perversion of the revolutionary eschaton into a bureaucratic anti-Christ. And if you don't understand that, then you're still kneeling before the golden calf of state capitalism, my friend. The kolkhoz, as the new Pharisee, a betrayal written in grain quotas. Collectivization, they called it. But what do you mean by collectivization? Was it the joyous communion of the rural proletariat, breaking bread in the fields of post-capitalist fraternity? No. It was the exact inverse, a forced enslavement to the Moloch of grain deliveries, where the peasantry was crucified on the cross of primitive accumulation, all while Stalin stood there like some Soviet Caiaphas, washing his hands and saying, "It is necessary for the construction of socialism." The kolkhoz was not the kingdom of heaven on earth. It was the temple money changers all over again, except this time the coins were quotas and the whip was the NKVD. And the left communists? They were the desert ascetics, the John the Baptist screaming in the wilderness. You brood of vipers, who warned you to flee from the coming wrath? But the Stalinist priesthood didn't want repentance. They wanted obedience. The commodity as the unholy ghost, a specter that refused to die. Stalin says the law of value persists under socialism. But what do you mean by persists? Is the commodity form now a sacred mystery, an eternal truth revealed by the Gosplan tablets? Marx spent his life exorcising this demon, and here comes Stalin sprinkling holy water on it and calling it socialist distribution. This is the great Gnostic heresy of Stalinism, the belief that you can baptize exploitation and call it emancipation. The wage relation wasn't abolished. It was canonized, turned into a sacrament of the new church. The worker still offered up his sweat and blood, but now the liturgy was in the language of fulfilling the plan. And the left communists, they were the Cathars of the revolution, declaring, "No, the commodity is the demiurge's trap, and you have fallen into it. Socialism in one country as the Tower of Babel, a monument to hubris. We will build socialism alone," Stalin proclaimed. But what do you mean by alone? Since when was the proletariat a national class? Since when did the revolution become a domestic project, like repainting your dacha? This was the original sin, the retreat from the universal mission, the betrayal of the Catholic, in the true, etymological sense, spirit of communism. The left communists stood there like prophetic watchmen on the walls of Zion, shouting, "Do you not see? The revolution must be world historical, or it is nothing." But Stalin, like some modern-day Nimrod, kept piling brick upon bureaucratic brick, thinking he could reach heaven with his 5-year plan. And then what happened? The tower collapsed into the chaos of national chauvinism, and the workers of the world were left scattered and divided. The party as the Last Supper. Who will betray the revolution this time? The Bordagists knew. The party is not a managerial committee. It is the sword of the archangel, the final judge between the living and the dead. It does not negotiate with capital. It annihilates it. But Stalin? He turned the party into a synod of yes-men, a Sanhedrin that rubber-stamped the counter-revolution. And when the left communists protested, they were cast out like heretics, exiled to the symbolic desert, where only the pure in doctrine could survive. Conclusion: the apocalypse that never came. So, here we stand, in the ruins of what was supposed to be the New Jerusalem. The Stalinists built not a socialist paradise, but a gilded cage, a Babylon where the workers marched in lockstep to the rhythm of the plan. And the left communists, they renewed voices crying out in the wilderness, the ones who refused to bow. But what do you mean by refuse? I mean they kept the true faith. They remembered that the revolution is not a gift from above, but a fire from below. And until that fire burns away the last vestiges of the commodity, the last lie of socialist exploitation, we remain in exile, waiting for the real Messiah, the proletariat itself to return. Now, go and think about that, and clean your room